Like, it's emotionally draining. Because to get there, and I'm all the way back here, like how in the hell am I supposed to achieve that? Welcome to another episode of Mindset Mastery. Thank you for joining me today. I am back and fresh from a conference that I went over the last 5 days. I was in Orlando and I went to a ClickFunnels conference. And there was just so many takeaways. And you know, when you're in the right environments, it feels so good, right? The vision gets so big. The ambitions get even bigger. And the actions you want to take seem like it's the next logical step. But here's the thing that happens, right? Once we're taken out and we're plucked away from that environment, reality sets in. Reality of the work that's required sets in. The reality of the time and effort and the skill sets that are going to be needed sets in. And this feeling of knowing that you saw this great vision for yourself, right? And it's grand and it's beautiful and it's perfect. But the knowing of what it's going to take to get there can seem just overwhelming. And today I walked into my office and it started earlier today, right? I felt good going to the gym. I felt good going through the process. I felt good doing those things. And I think we have the wrong camera. Do we? Either way, the lights went off on my technology. We have these little lights on my camera supposed to tell me, you know, where it goes. And I'm seeing it over here and it's a little distracting. So I do apologize for that. But, you know, coming back into the story. So I'm feeling good in the gym. I'm feeling good through this process. And I realize that there's these thoughts that are kind of going through my head like, shit, I got a lot to do, right? Because there is no going back when you have a vision. There is no going back and thinking that it's not available to you. If we see it in our minds, it's a real possibility. And I think oftentimes what ends up happening is we try to talk ourselves out of it. We try to think that it was maybe just a thought that is not really supposed to happen for us. And as I come back, all these thoughts of where I was at and the people I was meeting with, the speakers that I heard, and the visions that I saw, all like came piling up on me. Like I'm feeling like my heart is beating 1,000 miles an hour right now. Like things it's insane. Because I feel like my chest is becoming compressed. And even as I'm talking, like I can feel my heart beating. It's like, damn, this is overwhelming. This is a lot. And one of the things that I realized, because I talked with Carla right now, and she says, yeah, it's one of those things where more is always going to be overwhelming. And some of us, I think, avoid wanting more because some of the thought processes is like, in order to get there, it's going to take 10,000 steps. It's going to take 10,000 steps in order to get there. And those steps are going to require time, effort, and energy. And I'm already feeling like I'm at capacity. Like, how am I going to be able to take it to that level? And some of you may be feeling the same way every day, where you're thinking you're so behind, where you're thinking like, I'll never get there. And it's a hard life. But I'm going to tell you something, like, I'm here because I feel this way. I'm not letting this feeling feeling overwhelmed paralyze me. Was there a time where I was like, yeah, this is too much. I'm comfortable where I'm at. And I'll tell myself stories. No, I got everything I need. I don't need to keep pushing. But that wouldn't be in alignment with what I've worked for. It wouldn't be in alignment with everything you've worked for thus far. To work that hard, to sacrifice so much, to invest what you have, to only say this is good enough. That's not your reality. Your reality is to continue to push. And I'm feeling overwhelmed, and I'm feeling like, holy shit, I pulled out my new 12-week target book, and I already wrote everything that I need to do, and I'm like, oh my God, like where am I going to find the time? And sometimes seeing ourselves bigger, it's almost like a double-edged sword. It's like, really, when is that ever going to stop? And it's not. We have to come to grips with that it's never going to stop. But we can't just sit there and be paralyzed by the anxiety that it brings. My heart's beating at 1,000 miles an hour right now, and I'm like, holy shit. I'm so behind. I got so much to do. And these thoughts used to really paralyze me and almost depress me. Like, man, I can't believe I still have that much to go. But now it's just, I'm just inching forward. Because that's progress, and progress equals happiness. That's something that Tony Robbins said this week as I was listening to him. And I've had the opportunity to go to a few of his seminars, the Business Mastery, which is a 5-day event. And, to see this 61-year-old man give so much of his energy, so much of his time, it's just simply amazing. He hasn't fallen into the trap, hey, you're 61 years old, it's time to slow it down. He says, no, I have to continue to push the envelope. This guy's worth $500 million. He doesn't need to be there. He could have his feet up, smoking a cigar right by the beach. I'm sure he does that every once in a while. But he's not doing it at that moment. He understands he still has an impact. He still has to push. He runs 100 companies, 100 plus companies. I mean, if I think I'm overwhelmed, I wonder what he's dealing with. But he said the following things. He says, when I say I do something, I jump. There is no hesitation. There is no questioning. And as I start looking and analyzing my own journey, like what is the difference between AZ, right, in 2016 versus AZ in 2021? My ability to make decisions faster is the main difference. Not sitting in a place where I'm going to ponder. Even what I'm doing right now, feeling overwhelmed, what can I do? I'm not just going to sit there and say, I'm not good enough to be there. I'm 10,000 steps away. Like, how is that ever going to happen? It's going to take years. If we start thinking about how much work there is to get there, then we'll never get there. But if we simply just take that initial step, even though it's small, even though it's incremental, it's still a step towards that vision. And I've seen it, and you've witnessed it with your own lives. When you're very clear about what it is that you want, when you're very clear what it is you want to create, at some point, it becomes a reality. But I think we tend to forget because now there's another endeavor. Now there's something greater beyond that. And it's okay not to feel fulfilled at that particular moment, right? We think like, once I make this much money, once I have this much money in the bank, then it'll be okay. And when we get there, it's like, oh my God, it's not okay. And then we'll run into people, you're just never satisfied. You got to relax. There's a part of you that realizes it's relaxing is a very dangerous place to be. And if you relax, you go strictly against what made you get there to begin with. And that is inching forward, taking these steps forward. And I'm watching this man just giving it his all, and I'm like, holy shit, this dude's at a different level. Here I am just overwhelmed about a couple of things. I wonder what he has on his plate. And it's really, really assuring, right? What he said was very assuring that I'm on the right track. And even though I don't necessarily have what I ultimately want yet, I've far exceeded what I thought was possible. And every time you take a new step, your vision just gets bigger but farther away. And I'm prepared to make some moves. And that's the decision we all have to make. We could sit there paralyzed by the 10,000 steps that we need to take, or simply just take that one. And realize at some point, our vision and the action that we're taking is going to come to a meeting point. It's going to meet at some place. We just don't know if it's going to be in a year, 5 years, or 10 years from now. At some point, they're going to meet. But if we hold back, that will never happen. If we hold back, it was just a false dream. I remember, like, Carla and I, many, many years ago, Carla's always been into fitness. And she goes into these places mentally to make sure that she's able to, get the most out of every workout. Get the absolute most of every workout. And we were young, maybe in our mid-20s. She pulls out this magazine. She says, this is what I want. And it was being in the magazine, being announced as an IFBB pro. As an IFBB pro. Now, during those times, only a handful of people every year became IFBB pros. But if somebody would have told her, you got 10,000 steps to get there, 10,000 days to get there. If you have, all this work, you're going to have all these disappointments. You're going to fail miserably. You're going to come in last place. You're always going to feel like you're not good enough. You're going to feel like you're starving. It's going to be painful. You're going to lose sleep. You're going to lose hair. You're going to lose time with your family. Do you think she would have taken that step? And that's what being in this paralyzed state does to you. We overthink. We overthink of what it's going to take to get there. And I sat there for just a little bit, and that's why I think my heart was going. But I'm learning to combat it. What did I do? I just pulled out what I know what to do. I pulled out exactly what has gotten me to this point. My 12-week target book. And I'm just simplifying the game. What can I accomplish today? What are the few steps I need to take today? And although it might not even make a ding in the overall trajectory of where I want to go, at least it's a few steps forward. And this few steps forward over time become the defining factors of what separates me from the masses. It'll be the defining factor of what separates you from the 99% of agents that are out there. Is those little meaningless steps, what seem meaningless steps, allows you to progress. But I can't imagine Carla getting what she did, where she ended up in that same magazine many years later, almost 10 years later. But that vision never stopped. And the work never stopped. It didn't stop when she didn't reach it after 2 years, after 5 years. Were there moments of disappointment? Absolutely. Were there thoughts of quitting? All the time. But did she? She's an IFBB pro, and no one could ever take that away from her. And your progress, no one can ever take away from you. Because you built it through your own blood, sweat, and tears. No one gave it to you. No one delivered it to you. No one gave their book of business to you. You built it from scratch. But if you were to go back many, many years to tell yourself what it would take to get here, you wouldn't have taken one step further. Paralyzed like most. And listen, we can't allow ourselves to shut down these visions that we have for ourselves. We just can't. I can't shut this down. I already saw it. And it's scary. Like, it's emotionally draining. Because to get there, and I'm all the way back here, like, how in the hell am I supposed to achieve that? Do I disregard it? And many of you have disregarded your greatness for years. I've seen it. You were $10 million producers when houses were at an average of $150,000, and you're still $10 million producers when houses average at $450,000. How does that work? You're disregarding the bigger vision. And what a shame, right? What a shame if I were still in the same building. What a shame if I were still making the same money. What a shame if I was only making the small impact on others. What a shame if I didn't push the envelope. And again, you would tell me, hey, Z, in 2021, you're going to move into a 10,000 square foot office. In 2021, you're going to make some of the biggest financial moves of your life. But this is the path you have to go through. This is the emotional toll, the hours, the energy, the failures, the sacrifices. This is all you need to do to get there. I promise you, most would have quit. And that's why I can't think about the vision that's there. Even though it crossed my mind, I can't sit there. I just can't sit there and be overwhelmed about the work that is required. I just can't. Because 5 years ago, I would have never been here if I just sat there paralyzed by the work that needs to be done, by the skill sets I need to build, by the sacrifices I need to make. I would just be there, content. But the vision is too real now, and the vision is too real for you. Don't disregard it. Don't sit there and just think about all the work that needs to be done. Just simplify it. Use your 12-week target book. Simplify. What are the steps today that will directly or indirectly put you closer to where you want to be? This step that I take today is not going to get me that much closer, but it's a required step I need to take. And we have to have these grand visions and stop celebrating. Guys, there's going to be a change in our market, I promise you. And if you're celebrating too early, you're going to be the first ones out of this industry. Times are good. It doesn't mean you take a lax approach. It means you build momentum during these times. There's always a winter approaching. And guess what? The summer and the fall they've extended themselves. And they may be here for a few more years. But then what? What goes up must go down. And if you're not pushing the envelope, you're going to be reacting. You got to look at your numbers and really see, does that reflect who you are? Does that really reflect who you are? And if you've been in this game 5, 10 years, for most of us, I'll answer that for you. No, it doesn't. I think you're greater. I'm looking at my numbers. I'm like, okay, I've held back a little bit. A lot. There's things on my book that I haven't completed. There's things that I've been saying that I want that I haven't even approached. You're still using the same excuses. You still don't have an employee. You still don't have an assistant. You still don't have a transaction coordinator. When is that going to change? When you make more money? I'll tell you when it's going to change. When you stop messing around and disregarding what you're supposed to build. And I know it's overwhelming. I'm feeling the heat right now. Holy shit, like my voice is shaky. I'm feeling it. Emotionally feeling it. It's heavy. You mean I still have all that to do? It's heavy. Yes, it's heavy. And you're not the only one going through this. Now the real question is, what are you going to do about it? What are you going to do about it? I'm there. I'm going to do this about it. One step at a time. Because I realize the feeling overwhelmed is a gift. It's a gift that I brought upon myself. I'm not overwhelmed because I lack the effort. I'm not overwhelmed because I made bad mistakes and now I'm trying to fix those. I'm overwhelmed because I'm bringing this upon myself. That's a great place to be. I'm bringing this onto myself in a good way, in a massive way. Being overwhelmed because you decided to hold back is a different story. It's a different story. And we could just coast through the end of the year. Some of you have had the best year ever. And you have permission. You've given yourself permission to coast. But I'm going to tell you something. I'm not coasting. I can't. Can't afford to. The future me depends on that. So I'm going to do the things that are required to inch me forward towards that big vision. We need that. We need that light, that fire from under ourselves. We need to be in that place where it's scary. We need to be in that place where we feel overwhelmed. And I know at some point we're conditioned from a very young age to be content with what we have. It's not okay. It's not okay. I wasn't content of just getting into shape. I want to be elite. And guess what? Over the years, I've become that person. I get the same reaction from everyone when I tell people my age. I'm 43 years old. They're like, what the hell? Like, what are you doing? How do you do it? Like, if it is a simple process, but it's backed through time and consistency and effort every day. It's the preparation to realize that now I can have these visions and not paralyze myself. I can be overwhelmed, but that's where I'm going. And if a man 61 years old, almost 20 years my elder, can operate at that level, like what am I complaining about? I want to show this video that I pulled up from 2016. And in the background, you'll hear the narration on a book that I highly recommend. If you're looking for a good read, or if you need to reread it or listen to it, I like to listen to my audiobooks. I like to listen to them as I'm driving. I like to listen to them as I'm getting ready in the morning. I like to listen to them as I'm in my office. Like, this is that I just need positivity embedded into my brain, because that feeling overwhelmed will go the other way if I don't feed something good and realize that, the progression is the responsibility. Progression is happiness, expansion, growth. So I'm going to go ahead and play this video, and then we're going to talk about it here in a second. Go ahead and roll the video.
Every dream you imagine, everything you see and hear and feel in your sleep, that's not a fantasy. That's your deep instinct telling you it can all be real. Follow those visions and dreams and desires and believe what you know. Only you can turn those dreams into reality. Never stop until you do. The greatest battles you will ever fight are with yourself, and you must always be your toughest opponent. Always demand more of yourself than others demand of you. Be honest with yourself, and you'll be able to meet every challenge with confidence and a deep belief that you are prepared for anything. Life can be complicated. The truth is not. I truly believe I have zero limitations. You should believe the same about yourself. Listen to your instincts. They're telling you the truth. I want the satisfaction of knowing that every move I make, every thought, every idea, every action takes me further than anyone else has ever gone and makes me better at what I do than anyone else in the world. That's what drives me.
So this video was recorded in 2016, and I wrote a little note just to kind of reflect on that. I said, your life is the physical embodiment of your collective thoughts, decisions, and actions. This video from Carla from this very day in 2016 is an example of just that. Everything you have is everything you've worked for. Everything you have is everything you work for. Nothing more and nothing less. Your body is your work of art. You decided how to paint that canvas. Your bank account reflects the deposits of value you offer the world. You chose how bad you wanted it. Every action you took led you to this place. No one held you back. You fought for it. No one limited you. You alone decided your fate. You have everything you ever wanted because what you have is everything you've ever worked for. And I always write these thoughts of mine, right? And even though it may say you, I'm bringing my own personal experience into this. It's like I'm talking to myself. And when I look at what I've built, as I look at my different businesses, as I look at the results, as I look at my marriage, as I look at my body, there is a very intentional approach about everything that I've done. And if we were to break it down, right, and really describe the process it took to get there, I think most would not take on that journey. Just like you, if you were to take down where you're at today and the work and the effort and the energy, most wouldn't want to embark on that journey. Because it is a very lonely place. It is a place where you have to say no many, many times. It's a place where you have to prioritize yourself first and foremost before anyone else. And this is the essence of what is going to be required for you to go to that next level. And you can wait, just like the majority of individuals out there, the majority of all society, to say in 2022 things will change. Or we could take that responsibility today and say, no, those thoughts and those visions, I need to continue to look at that. And just simply put a simple game plan of what I need to do today. And as I'm talking more and as I'm sharing more, I find myself now a little bit more relaxed. Relaxed that, hey, it's meant to be. Because I have a history of being in that very same place and still accomplishing and overcoming. When the vision of this building came to me a few years ago, there was no possibility, and it scared me. But I didn't step away from it. And we have to allow ourselves just to ask better questions and then take the action towards that. One final thought here. I got to meet with my coach and mentor for quite a few hours, like 5 hours, just having this conversation. And I've personally witnessed this man go from a 7-figure earner, not producer, earner, like income, a 7-figure earner to now an 8-figure earner. Okay, we're talking about $1 million, $2 million to now over 10, 15 million. And his demeanor and his poise, his attention to being there were unbelievable. He didn't have the stress in his eyes. It looked like he didn't have a worry in his world. He was there present. And I had to ask him, what is the biggest difference from who you were to who you are today? Like, what's the difference? Your business has grown tremendously. The lifestyle. You have a $22 million house on the beach side of Laguna around billionaires. What is the major difference there? He looks at me and just simply tells me, I know how to say no. I don't ponder anything. My ability to make a decision and move is like never before. Somebody asked me to go speak. I say no. There is no pondering. There is no, let me get back to you. It's a decision right then and there. I'm going to allow zero energy to go beyond whatever it took for me to give my response. I get asked to podcast. I get asked to dinner. I get asked to this. I get asked to that. If it's not in alignment with what I have down, of what my agenda is, I say no. And he's just able to do that faster. And guess what? Guess what a $1 billion earner does? He makes those decisions even faster than that. They don't allow anyone to infiltrate their plan. And many of us allow that on a consistent basis, where you have a simple agenda of what you're going to do this weekend for your business. But at the moment someone invites you somewhere, at the moment something else comes up, and as at the moment anything, we almost give in to those things. And that's what keeps us where we're at. And if we can make a decision and take the action thereafter, we'll be in a far better place. But guess what? Making those decisions is hard because you might hurt somebody's feelings. Oh, you didn't go to somebody's birthday party? Oh, you can't go out this evening. But you always go to dinner with them. You guys always take this 2-week vacation. And I'm not just talking to people that are content with what you're at now. It's about what else do you want? And those decisions are tough. And I'll tell you what, like if I look at my own journey, I've learned to say no more times. But it also reinforced the fact that I have to take less time in getting back to people. I'm just going to say my response then and there. Why have that anchor of energy on me? How should I tell them? Like, what kind of excuse should we tell them? And we see this all the time. You'll get more respect when you're just able to say no and not give an excuse behind it. Just no. Not, no, I don't have time. Oh, I have something else planned. No. Can you meet? No. I know it's harsh. But that's one step to get what we want. So to wrap this up, I do want to thank you again. And I'm feeling much better. I'm feeling much better because I realized like I've been through this process. And maybe that's all this was meant for you to also get out of this, right? It's just you've been through this process. Let's not get overwhelmed thinking we're behind. No, we're exactly where we need to be. We just need to take those steps today. And 2 years from now, 5 years from now, our life is going to be completely different. It's already there. You've already demonstrated. I've already demonstrated it. My life is vastly different. Like Carla and I sit back. I'm like, how did this happen? We know exactly how. And we're not going to stop with a simple game plan. And there's a simple game plan that's been afforded to you. We just got to stick to it. Regardless of whatever comes our way, and regardless if we think that there's a faster way, there isn't. There isn't. If you can't trust your word, if your integrity is not up to par, there's never that outcome. Period. And the only way to be able to condition that process is just to do it every day. Those simple habits. All right. So I think we all know what to do. We got big decisions to make. And I want you to check your email. Okay, I want you to check your email here today. We have 2 meetings. You're going to be one of 2 meetings, Thursday and Friday. So I need you to make plans to be there. This is for you. Okay, I'm going to be there. I'm going to be there. Okay, and I want every one of you to be there with me as far as where we get in 2 years, where we get in 5 years. Like this is not the epitome of where we need to be. And like I said, many of you have hit milestones, and congratulations to you. Like I'm the first to congratulate you. But that's not the epitome. You were meant for something greater, and you know that. So quit sabotaging that growth by thinking you've arrived. We're not there yet. And I don't think you'll ever be there. And that can be overwhelming, and it's okay. But somebody else is on that journey with you. I'll be there. And I hope you are too. The book that I mentioned, what is the name of the book? It's called Relentless by Tim Grover. I know they did a second version of it. I had the old version. I love the way it was narrated. It's a great book. I like it. And there's quite a few other books. And in the 12-week target book, under the book section here in the very front, you'll have all my recommended lists. And it's actually here, number 2, under self-development. I have The Big Leap is one. Relentless by Tim Grover. Can't Hurt Me by David Goggins. The 5-Second Rule by Mel Robbins. All great books. And one last thing. Tony Robbins, as he was going through his speaking engagement there, he said, success comes from 80% mindset and 20% skill set. 80% mindset. So we need to be in the right state of mind in order to be able to succeed or to even have a chance. And then I start looking at what we do here at A's and Associates. And it's exactly where we need to be. Feels really good. I struggle to say no and I regret it later. It's this place, right? And because people know you as Angela's like, hey, Angela's the nice person. She'll be here. She's always here. She'll always want to come. We expect this from her. And that is only taking a step back. And if you can say that no, without giving an excuse, that's even more powerful. And I know it takes a little bit of conditioning process. No, I got other plans. But just say no. And then they'll ask you why. Just, I won't make it. And it's people think that they need a response from you because they've expected it from you. So thank you again for joining me for this episode of Mindset Mastery. We have a busy week ahead. Let's get back to our 12-week target books and go a step at a time. All right? We're on the same road. So let's get there. Talk to you soon. Bye now. Thank you for joining us for this episode of Badass Agents Podcast, brought to you by AZ & Associates and Do the Work Coaching and Consulting. You can watch this and other episodes by subscribing to our channel on YouTube or by visiting us directly at badassagents.com. And of course, you can listen to this episode and many others on your preferred podcast provider.